Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a real-life mystery that is honestly just mind-boggling in its calculated cruelty. We are going to unravel a truly unprecedented deception, a case that actually launched one of the UK's most massive police hunts. It's a story about a thriving business, an unbelievably elaborate web of lies, and a man who thought he could make an entire multi-generational family simply vanish without a trace. So let's get right into it. Section 1. A family vanishes. To really wrap our heads around the sheer magnitude of this case, we've got to go back to February 2003. A successful businessman named Anil Chauhan, his wife Nancy, their 2 baby boys, and Nancy's mother suddenly disappeared from their London home. Back at Anil's workplace, colleagues were casually told the family had happily retired to India. But Nancy's brother, Ankar Verma, who was living over in New Zealand, knew something was terribly wrong when his daily phone calls suddenly went unanswered. So he flew all the way to the UK, entered their home, and was met with this totally chilling scene. He later said, "I opened the fridge. There was uncooked food inside. My mom's prayer book was there." Just imagine the sensory details of that space for a second. Baby toys were scattered on the floor, baby feed was still sitting out, and a deeply religious mother had left behind her most treasured possession. These everyday details proved without a doubt that the Chauhans hadn't just packed their bags and moved. And the absolutely crucial point we're dealing with here is this number, 5. We aren't just talking about one missing businessman. 3 adults and 2 babies, an 18-month-old and an 8-week-old, had completely vanished. I mean, it is incredibly rare for an entire family to just be wiped off the map in one fell swoop like that, and the sheer scale of this disappearance immediately escalated the police's concern. Section 2. The fox in the henhouse. So how does something like this even happen? Well, it comes down to a catastrophic clash between 2 very different men. You've got Anil Chauhan. He owned a successful fruit importation and freight company at Heathrow called Saiba Freight. He was known by his staff as this happy-go-lucky, trusting guy who had a past conviction himself, so he firmly believed in giving people second chances. And then you have Kenneth Regan. He was a recently released convict who showed up looking for work. But Regan was definitely no ordinary delivery driver. He was actually a former millionaire drug smuggler known in the underworld as Captain Cash. Stripped of his assets after a stint in prison, he was totally ruthless and desperate to regain his criminal empire. He needed a bonded warehouse to use as a front for importing drugs, and he looked at Anil's kindness and saw the perfect vulnerability. Regan didn't just wing this either. He had a chilling, highly calculated 4-step plan. Step 1, gain Anil's trust by working hard as a delivery driver. Play the part. Step 2, knowing Anil's wife wanted to move back to India, he baited Anil with a fake £3 million buyout offer from phantom investors. Step 3, to ensure his takeover was permanent, he planned to eliminate the entire family. That way, there'd be literally no one left to raise the alarm. And finally, step 4, install a respectable, completely unknowing puppet to run the company, making the whole transition look totally legitimate to the outside world. That puppet ended up being an unwitting socialite named Belinda Bruin. Regan had actually been obsessed with her for years and offered her an incredibly sweet deal. £72,000 a year to be the new managing director of Saiba Freight, and get this, working just 2 days a week. But Regan's true motive was a lot darker. Belinda lived on an isolated farm in Devon. Regan became bizarrely fixated on her property, complaining about the mud and insisting she needed a massive drainage ditch. In fact, his accomplices just showed up one day with an excavator and carved a huge trench right into her field without her explicit permission. Section 3. A web of lies. Let's look at how this deception actually played out. On February 13th, Anil Chauhan told his staff he was heading to Stonehenge to finalize the sale of his business. By the 15th, all phone calls to the family completely stopped. Back at the office, Regan suddenly produces this resignation letter with Anil's forged signature, telling everyone the family had happily retired. And when the police started asking questions, Regan's accomplice, William Hornsey, actually set up a fake meetup with the supposedly on-the-run Anil in Wales, right next to a bronze pig statue. They acted out a whole scene of receiving a cancellation text, literally leading the police on a wild goose chase just to buy themselves some time. But, no lie is perfect, and Regan's carefully crafted story began to fall apart, thanks to some meticulous forensic police work led by DCI Andy Rowell. The police used cell phone tracking data to prove that on the exact day Anil disappeared, his phone traveled from Hounslow, met up with Regan's phone near Stonehenge, and then both phones traveled together down toward the West Country. Regan's story of an innocent business meeting simply wasn't adding up anymore.
Section 4. The Grim Discoveries.
Remember that weird, unprompted drainage ditch on Belinda Bruin's land? Well, police descended on it for a massive 5-day exhumation, and what they found was just horrific. They discovered hairs matching Anil Chauhan, remnants of a bonfire, burnt clothing, and jewelry that belonged to Mansi. And most heartbreaking of all, they found these tiny metal poppers, the exact kind used on baby clothes. But crucially, there were no bodies. This chilling evidence officially escalated the missing persons case into a Category A murder inquiry. The family had definitely been buried there, but then someone had come back and dug them up. So where did the bodies go? Tragically, we got our answer in April 2003. Some canoeists out for a quiet evening paddle discovered Anil Chauhan's body floating in the sea near Bournemouth. Forensics later revealed he had suffered blunt force trauma to the head, suffocation, and was bound with packing tape. The killers had panicked, dug the bodies up from the Devon farm, loaded them onto a boat, and literally dumped them into the ocean, hoping they'd be swallowed up and lost forever. Now, with bodies starting to surface, the accomplices were totally panicking. Regan and Hornsey fled to Europe, leaving the third man, Peter Rees, behind. In a state of pure paranoia, Rees moved into a boarding house and shockingly confessed everything to his new landlady within hours of meeting her. He just blurted out, "It was Regan. He's a psycho. He killed them all," going so far as to detail how the 2 children were murdered. Obviously, the landlady immediately called the police, leading to Rees's swift arrest. Section 5. Message Beyond the Grave. Okay, so here is the absolute craziest part of this entire explainer. Even with suspects finally in custody, the police still lacked that hard, undeniable proof tying the men directly to the actual murder scene. That is, until a really obscure finding during the postmortem. Months into the investigation, scientists were examining the remaining clothing kept in storage from Anil Chauhan's postmortem. Inside his right sock, which is an item that usually holds 0 evidential value, they found something extraordinary. It was a seawater-soaked, heavily folded piece of paper. Because it had been folded over so many times, the fragile paper somehow survived its time in the ocean and in cold storage. When scientists very carefully unfolded this delicate paper, it revealed the unimaginable courage of a man facing his final moments. It was a letter from the Cheltenham and Gloucester Building Society, and it was addressed directly to Kenneth Regan at his home address, 3 Forge Close, and dated February 12th, the very day before the kidnapping. Anil Chauhan, held captive and clearly realizing he was about to be murdered, desperately found this piece of mail, folded it up tight, and secretly stuffed it into his sock. It was the ultimate smoking gun, placing him directly inside his killer's house. That single piece of paper tied everything together. It led to the longest trial in the entire history of the Old Bailey, lasting a staggering 9 months. The prosecution brought forward 4,500 different exhibits. Alongside the undeniable cell phone data and that incredible letter from the sock, they also presented a printer and a literal suitcase full of blank sheets bearing Anil's forged signatures. And get this, that evidence was actually handed over by accomplice William Hornsey's own son. The sheer weight of this evidence painted a crystal clear picture of Regan forcing Anil to sign away his company before executing the entire family. So what happened to these guys who thought they pulled off the perfect crime? Well, Peter Rees received a 23-year sentence for the murder of Anil Chauhan. William Hornsey and Kenneth Regan, the primary architects of this horrific slaughter, both received 5 consecutive life sentences for murdering the family. They will absolutely never be released from prison. Which brings us to a really haunting question. How does a ruthless desire for money lead to the total erasure of a family? While the bodies of Anil, Nancy, and Nancy's mother were eventually recovered, the truly devastating reality of this case is that the 2 baby boys, 18-month-old Devinder and 8-week-old Bhavinder, have never been found. It really leaves us to ponder the darkest extremes of human greed, where a man could extinguish entire generations just to fund his criminal lifestyle. It's a sobering reminder of the depths of deception, but also the incredible lengths investigators and the victims themselves will go to uncover the truth. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you a clearer understanding of this incredibly complex case.